This is CBC Saturday News.
Good evening, I'm Marivelle Tarouk. Members of a conservative Christian group gathered in downtown Toronto today, hoping to march through the gay village to promote what they call free speech. Opponents responded by holding a rally in support of the LGBT community. CBC's Talia Ricci reports.
Whoever believes in him.
On one side, messages that read, "These are our streets too," and "Civil rights are for Christians too." This was called the Freedom Prayer and Repentance Rally. On the other side, signs promoting acceptance in Toronto's gay village. A long pride flag snaking through a crowd. This was the Unite for Love rally.
We are allowed to express ourselves.
The march, led by Christian Positive Space, was planned first. The group is led by David Lynn, who's caused controversy in the village before.
What's going on, sir? What's really happening, sir?
Back in June, police charged him with disturbing the peace after he was shouting religious messages through a microphone. But attendees on this side insist they aren't homophobic.
We're here to march for Christian civil rights. That's it. Nothing to do with the LGBT community at all. We're not against them.
I came here to support freedom of speech. I don't agree with either side. I feel very safe here on this side with the Christians. I felt extremely hostile on the other side with the LGBT activists.
At Unite for Love, politicians and others spoke out in support of the LGBTQ community.
Every single time there's somebody who wants to threaten the sense of inclusion, the sense of support, the sense of embracing, the sense of unity that we're trying to bring about in this, the most diversity in the world, that you stand up and say no.
I don't believe for a minute that there's any reason for us to repent or to be cast as sinners.
There's dozens of police officers here at the intersection of Front and Church, and I'll show you why. Even though you don't see very many crowds, you can see the Unite for Love rally has made its way from the Church Wellesley neighborhood down this way, and then on the other side here, Christian Positive Spaces group, they're down there, and police are keeping the two groups from merging. Yesterday, there was an attempt to call the whole thing off.
An open letter to the Christian Positive Space organizers was delivered yesterday, signed by 77 faith leaders, asking the organizers to cancel their event.
But they didn't get a response. Toronto police say there were no arrests today. Talia Ricci, CBC News, Toronto.
We got our first look at this season's Toronto Raptors. The NBA champs held a press conference today ahead of next month's home opener. After losing superstar Kawhi Leonard, it's unclear who the next star is going to be. CBC's Natalie Nanowski reports.
And now I'm more motivated and hungry for more.
That's the attitude Raptors players have when talking about the future of the team and the expectations for this season.
Another championship. I mean, it's always the same goal for me.
The Toronto Raptors!
The team won the NBA Finals for the first time in June, largely due to Kawhi Leonard, who only spent one season with the team before going to the LA Clippers. Also gone, Danny Green. Both star players were brought on by the team's president last year.
I can't sit here and trade DeMar and then Kawhi leaves us and be upset because that's just the nature of the business, and we understand it, and we move on as an organization.
The focus now is on the remaining men and grooming their young players.
They're looking for guys who can come out there, produce, and win.
I'm feeling good with myself, feeling good with what I'm doing.
With no clear star in sight, it looks like all eyes are on Spicy P.
Looking back at last season and looking at things that I didn't do so well, just working on every facet of my game, trying to be a complete player.
From series to series, I thought the team grew a lot. We never, I think I said that last year. I just loved how we never pointed fingers at one another. We always, attacked it as a team, as a unit.
Getting back into that groove is something all the players are hoping for.
keep helping and keep growing, and we're all in this thing together.
Raptors kick off their season back here on October 22nd, and that's when the players are also going to get their championship rings. Natalie Nanowski, CBC News, Toronto.
A 58-year-old man is in life-threatening condition after the car he was driving collided with a TTC bus this morning. It happened in the eastbound lanes of Shepherd Avenue near Jane Street just before 7 a.m. Paramedics rushed the man to a trauma center in stable condition. One other person was taken to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries, and the bus driver was assessed on scene. The bus was out of service at the time of the collision. Students at Western University participating in a massive street party today. It's called Fake Homecoming. Some estimates suggest up to 20,000 partygoers attended the event, and police and emergency crews have been busy managing the crowds. Our Andrew Lupton has the latest from London, Ontario.
I'm on Broughdale Avenue in London, Ontario, very close to the campus of Western University. This street is generally a quiet residential street with mostly student rentals, but again, for the third consecutive year, it's become the scene of a large student street party. You can see behind me lots of students here. In recent years, emergency officials have been increasingly concerned about this party. It's been flagged as a safety issue. Last year, 50 people went to hospital from this street. This year so far, 12 have been transported to hospital. Police tell me so far there's been no major incidents, but last year's event cost $200,000 in extra policing and cleanup. And you can see the police resources they have here. It's going to cost a lot of money. Again, the university, police, City Hall, they've all been working together to try and curtail this party, but unfortunately the numbers again this year are just as much as they were last year. 20,000 students, police tell me, have been on this street this year. And it's creating a lot of problems, a lot of struggle for police to deal with this. But so far no major incidents here on Broughdale Avenue, but certainly it continues to be a big problem in London, Ontario.
That's the CBC's Andrew Lupton reporting. All right, it's time now to get our first check of the weather for this weekend, and Marta joins us with that. Hi, Marta.
Hi. Well, it was definitely a warm day today, 23 degrees, sort of muggy. You felt that with that the showers passing through. If you were in Mississauga, you might have seen a shower. In Toronto, you may have not, just some of those passing showers. We're starting off Sunday morning at 11 degrees, so definitely a crisp start to the day, but that's what time of year it is. It's fall, so we start off cooler and then we warm up to 16. That's definitely around seasonal for this time of year, which is about 18 degrees. So today was sort of abnormally warm, 23. Tomorrow is going to be a little bit cooler. It's been a rainy past couple of hours, 24 hours. This is the forecast for the estimated rain totals. As I mentioned, you may have seen a passing shower in areas in the Golden Horseshoe, in through the GTA, but it was areas in through Cottage Country that saw lots of that rainfall, and through extreme southwestern Ontario. Let's look at where we can see that rain next. Well, it seems like it's going to be pretty clear skies tomorrow. It might be a little bit of a cloud cover day, but in extreme southwestern Ontario, that's where they could see the chance of that passing shower. For Toronto, it's going to be a little bit more clear for us. Toronto 16 degrees, extreme southwestern Ontario in Windsor 20 degrees. So the temperatures are much cooler, and by Monday heating up a little bit. 18 degrees in Toronto, Guelph 21, Hamilton 19. But I want to tell you a little bit more about the long range temperature forecast, because we're definitely going to feel some of that late summer heat again a little bit later in the show, and I'll let you know a little later.
Okay, we'll see you then. Thanks, Marta.
By being a stronger community is how we'll be able to help reduce violence in our city, in Ontario and across Canada.
In less than an hour, a walk to end gun violence will begin at Yonge and Bloor. The message the group behind the event hopes to get across coming up. Plus, an unusual movie premiere. There won't be many journalists lining the red carpet for the Hollywood premiere of The Joker. We'll tell you why after the break.
This is CBC.
We have some breaking news to share with you. A man has been shot inside a home at Sunnycrest and Rockford Road. Police found him with injuries, and he was vital signs absent, is what we are learning. And when we get more information, we will bring those details to you. Meanwhile, families affected by gun violence are gathering tonight to raise awareness about the issue. They'll be taking to the streets of downtown Toronto as part of the Walk Against Violence event. Angelina King joins us live from Yonge and Bloor, which is the starting point for the walk. Angelina, the organizers say the walk is about bringing people together.
Exactly. So not only will they be honoring their loved ones, but they say bringing communities together is just one way to reduce not only gun violence, but all kinds of violence. And that's what the walk is about. It's organized by a group of mothers who have lost their children to gun violence, including Allison Irons. Her daughter was shot and killed 6 years ago by an ex-boyfriend who legally owned a gun.
Have a considerable problem across the country, and quite frankly, our numbers of mothers or families that have been affected by violence are growing, and our numbers are getting too big. So that's what we're walking to bring attention to.
Toronto and the GTA just experienced a summer of gun violence. According to Toronto police statistics, there have been more than 320 shootings so far this year in Toronto. That puts the city on record to start on par to start a new record. Now, no doubt this has become quite a big election issue. Just last week, the Liberals announced while campaigning that they would ban semi-automatic assault-style weapons, implement a buyback program, as well as allow cities to restrict or ban handguns. Now, the Greens agree with all of this. The NDP are on board with allowing cities to ban handguns. The Conservatives disagree, but do say that they would implement a ban for anybody convicted of a violent crime or any type of gang activity. Now, Irons says that banning semi-automatic assault-style weapons is a good idea, but she disagrees with a handgun ban, saying there are a lot of sports shooters out there who are legitimate competitors. She also says that gun control should remain in the hands of the federal government, and those decisions should not be given to cities or municipalities.
That turns us into a version of the United States where different states have different handgun laws, and you can transport a handgun from one state where it's legally purchased to another state and use it illegally.
Now, because this walk is all about bringing different people together, the parents of Joaquin Oliver, who was shot and killed in the Parkland High School shooting in Florida, will be joining the walk tonight. They'll be speaking at the end. So it'll get underway in less than an hour near where I'm standing here at Yonge and Bloor, and then it will end at Nathan Phillips Square. Maribel?
Thanks for this, Angelina. Well, movie premieres usually involve stars, reporters, and red carpets, but not the U.S. premiere of the movie Joker. The film is restricted access for print and broadcast journalists. CBC's Yelena Adzik explains why.
Typically, the entire point of a red carpet premiere is for the audience to see and hear the people behind a film answer questions and express ideas related to the movie. That is exactly what happened when Joker premiered earlier at the Toronto International Film Festival. And for the LA premiere tonight, it was supposed to be a similar scene, but now Warner Brothers Studio has disinvited the print and broadcast media, saying that only photographers will be allowed to attend. It's a move that allows the stars to avoid uncomfortable questions in the wake of criticism over the movie's realistic violence and sympathetic portrayal of the famous Batman villain. Have a listen to Todd Phillips' defense when pressed on the topic during TIFF.
I think a lot of the criticisms come from people who haven't seen the movie yet. We've only shown the movie in Venice, and nobody there had that reaction, or maybe you have somebody that did. But yeah, I think I would say, see the movie and judge for yourself.
Now, it's actually inaccurate to say that the critiques came from those who hadn't seen the film. Most had. We're talking about an open letter opposing the gun violence sent by families of the victims of a 2012 movie theater shooting in Colorado. Now, back then, 12 people were murdered and 70 injured during a screening of a Batman film, and the families are fearful of a repeat incident with the Joker movie, saying, "We're calling on you to use your massive platform and influence to join us in our fight to build safer communities with fewer guns." So when the movie is released across North America on October 4th, some theaters are saying they will have extra security staff on hand. Star Joaquin Phoenix might have something to say about that, but we won't hear it tonight when the film premieres in LA without any press in attendance. Yelena Adzik, CBC News, Toronto.
It is day 18 of the federal election campaign, a day off for Liberal leader Justin Trudeau, but not for the leaders of the NDP and Conservatives. Both spent the day in Western Canada. David Thurton tells us what pledges they announced.
Andrew Scheer was in Alberta today, spending the day in Edmonton in two of the few Liberal ridings the party holds in the province. He's hoping to turn the whole of Alberta blue. Scheer says he's a friend to Canada's energy sector. He attacked Justin Trudeau for his policies that he says have been holding up pipelines and crippling Alberta's oil and gas sector.
He pursues short-sighted policies for short-term political gains, pitting region against region, province against province, Canadian against Canadian.
He affirmed his plan to build a national energy corridor that would transport Canadian energy and hydroelectricity, but there weren't many details. Alberta Premier Jason Kenney joined him on the campaign trail. He spoke to reporters about why he's supporting Scheer.
I'm just returning the favor. Andrew campaigned with me during our provincial campaign, and he's a great friend of mine. I was very clear in our provincial campaign that I would do everything I could to get Andrew Scheer elected.
Hi, Bonnie. Nice to meet you.
Meanwhile, today in BC, Jagmeet Singh was once again going after Donald Trump.
Canadians don't want someone who's just going to cave into the demands of Mr. Trump, who's going to back down from a bully. I believe the only way to stand up to the bully is to be strong.
Singh says despite the Trudeau government's diplomatic stance with the American president, Canadians aren't getting ahead and the country's losing jobs to the U.S. David Thurton, CBC News, Ottawa.
Didn't know that it was the first Mustang. The serial number 001 really didn't mean too much to us at the time.
That Newfoundland man sold the first Ford Mustang ever produced, and now, more than 50 years later, he's reunited with it. That story coming up. Markham's Andre DeGrasse sprinted his way onto the podium in the 100-meter final at the World Track and Field Championships. The Canadian sprinter set a personal best with a time of 9.9 seconds in Doha, Qatar, earning a bronze medal, Canada's first at this year's event. Christian Coleman of the United States won the world title, setting a personal best time of 9.76. A second Canadian, Aaron Brown of Toronto, came in 8th. The Ford Mustang is a U.S. auto industry icon, but the first one off the assembly line in Detroit was actually sold in Canada. And now, 55 years later, the Newfoundland man who made the deal was back in the driver's seat. The CBC's Sanjay Maru has the story.
Joy and elation on the face of 84-year-old Harry Phillips, paying a visit to the Henry Ford Museum in Detroit. But he's not your average member of the Mustang Club. That's because the native of St. John's, Newfoundland, sold the first Ford Mustang ever manufactured back in 1964.
We didn't know that it was the first Mustang. The serial number 001 really didn't mean too much to us at the time.
The car was a pre-production model, not meant to be sold to customers. But without realizing that, he sold it for $4,300, peanuts by today's standards.
Follow me here, come on in. Oh my God.
Ford eventually got the car back, and it sat in the Detroit Museum since 1984.
I just thought, I wonder, could this actually happen? How cool would it be before his 85th birthday to get him to actually see this car again?
Philip's granddaughter turned to social media to coordinate the effort called Send Harry to Henry. In August, the museum sent out a formal invitation. And remember, it's been more than 50 years since Harry Phillips has last seen this car. And when you ask him what looks different about it as he looks at it today in this museum, he'll tell you, not a thing.
Brought back a lot of memories. It was really good. Just time. Like, this is 55 years ago. You know, I mean, that's a lot of time, and here it is, still here. Where do you want me to sign?
And with a bit of celebrity fame to go with it, Phillips can now look ahead to his 85th birthday, having achieved his dream more than 5 decades in the making. Sanjay Maru, CBC News, Detroit.
Well, let's take a longer look at our forecast now. Marta's back with that. So you're saying we might not be really done with summer quite yet?
No, but it's going to be cooler tomorrow.
Okay.
But it's going to return later. I'll tell you when. So starting off, well, overnight it's going to be 11 degrees, so a little bit cooler, but we're in fall, so it's not abnormal. Definitely starting crisper in the day and then warming up 16 degrees, so slightly below seasonal, which is about 18 for this time of year. Looking at that satellite future radar, you can see the band of those showers that have already passed from the areas in the GTA where, you know, we could have seen a passing shower in Mississauga, Toronto, Hamilton, just areas around the Golden Horseshoe as well experience some of those showers. Let's look at the temperatures for Sunday. 16 in Toronto, Windsor 20 degrees, and then a closer look at areas in the GTA. Again, 16 degrees in Toronto, Guelph 15, Hamilton 16, so slightly below seasonal. And the precipitation forecast. This is the long range forecast, so the next time we could possibly see those showers is Tuesday into Wednesday, but this is the area that I really want to focus on, and you'll see those temperatures warming up, and it's a clash of those two air masses. Look at the colors. Blue means cold, orange means warm. You see that summer-like heat trapped in southern Ontario, and we'll see that in through Tuesday. We could possibly be breaking some of those record temperatures. Toronto's record was 31.6 in 2007, so there is the possibility of breaking the temperature record. We could also break the humidexes, so that means what it feels like, 39.1. That's what it felt like in 2007. A quick look at that 7-day forecast. As I mentioned, Tuesday, 29 degrees, feeling like 37.
All right, thanks, Marta. We've got an update to the breaking news we brought you earlier. A man is dead after a shooting inside a home in the city's northeast end. Police say they were called to an address in North York in the area of Sunnycrest and Rockford Roads for reports of a shooting. Officers arrived to find the male victim with life-threatening injuries. He was pronounced dead on scene. Well, in other news, a children's hospital in Leaside is celebrating the arrival of groundbreaking MRI machines.
This is going to be the most child-friendly, accessible MRI available anywhere. What does that mean? It means that we're going to create it, and we have created it, and the entire suite it's in a way that is going to reduce anxiety for kids and families.
The new MRI is the first step in the construction of a world-class MRI suite at the Holland Bloorview Kids Rehabilitation Hospital. The suite is the first in Canada to be immersive, customizable, child-friendly, and fully accessible. It will also feature child-selectable lighting, images, and projections. As mentioned, to ease the fear and anxiety some children may suffer undergoing a scan. The suite is scheduled to be completed by the end of the year. And that's our show for you tonight. Thank you for watching. You can stay caught up on news anytime on our website, cbcnews.ca. Have yourselves a great night, everyone.